All right, so I was going to start filming adjusting the camber in the rear, but then I just noticed this. The car is just leaking a big amount of fuel right now. I don't know why. I haven't been able to look under the car yet. We're gonna have to jack the car up. But yeah, already starting to have problems with it after just pulling it out of the garage. Literally haven't driven the car in, I guess I did drive it like once, but nothing happened. I drove it down the street. So I don't know why this is leaking now. So we're gonna have to figure that out. So I was gonna do this either way, but now that the fuel line burst, we need to jack up the car. And the nice part about this car, even though I do have to deal with that fuel issue and stuff, which sucks, I have cup suspension. So it's hit this little controller, and I'll try to get a shot at it for you guys so you can see what it does. There we go. So basically it's an air piston, lifts up the front of the car. Don't have it in the rear because the like strut towers are too narrow. But yeah, so it helps a little bit with trying to get the jack under there. But the jack point is still in the rear, so I might have to do a little bit of finessing to get the car up in the air. But yeah, so let's get to it. So we got the tires up in the air. I was gonna use those blocks, but I still can't get under the car to actually jack it up. So we're gonna use these little black ramps that I normally use for doing oil changes on my daily, but they will work for this. And the only thing I gotta worry about is the exhaust is very close to touching the ground. So as long as when I jack it up, it doesn't hit, I'll be fine. But that's the only thing I'm worried about. It's just hitting that. Ignore that massive gap right now. I'm gonna fix that eventually. But yeah, so, damn. Time to get it all the way up. What is up, guys? I haven't vlogged in a really long time. The last time I vlogged was actually with my old 240. This is my newer 240. Same year, but I've owned it for less time. So my newer 240. This vlog was originally gonna be just working on the camber on all four corners. So getting the rear almost zeroed, lowering the front a little bit more, and also trying to get a little bit of that negative camber pulled out of there. But as you can see with some footage I'm about to overlay, I pulled the car out of the garage. It's been sitting in the garage under a cover because it's been winter and it's been snowing. And so I decided that I wanted to do this video, and I pulled it out, and then all of a sudden the fuel lines started leaking. And I have no idea. I've never touched the fuel lines on this car. I don't know why they could be doing that. So this is going to be the first of hopefully many vlogs. I used to do vlogs, if you guys remember, on my gray 240. I've since taken those down because they don't apply to that car anymore, because a lot of that stuff that I was doing to that car and a lot of the parts that I bought for that car actually ended up going on this. And the reason for that, this car does not have rust. And I mean, every car is gonna have a little bit of rust. I'm not saying that this car is perfect. And that's why I decided to go a different route, and that's why I didn't upload any more vlogs. So that's kind of my explanation, just to get that out of the way, because some people have asked me where those videos have gone. But yeah, I followed through with everything that I said I was gonna do in those videos. I did do a Spirit Ray wide body kit. I did put the 326 wing on. I did an Apexi exhaust. Obviously the Type X tails are a must. But yeah, so I'll give you guys a walk around of the car just so you can get a little bit familiar with it. I know that a lot of you guys have only seen this in photos and not really any video yet. So the update on this is I just got it back from paint. I've been dialing in suspension. If you guys want to know what suspension I have on this, it's Fortune Auto, a cup suspension. Basically, yeah, I haven't done any videos on it. I videoed a lot of the process of working on it, which I'll hopefully make a video eventually, just talking about the whole process and showing you guys like what all the work that goes into it. Shout out to Dylan from Toy Sport. He did a ton of awesome work molding the rear quarter panels and painting the car. I'm super happy about how it turned out. The car has not been paint corrected yet, so if you see any swirls or like little fish eyes on camera, that'll all be corrected soon. If you guys didn't know, I do work in the detailing business. I don't detail myself, but I know a lot of good detailers, and so I haven't decided if I really want to dial in and go into a full paint correction or work on the motor yet, because I feel like if I do the paint correction first, then what's the point of pulling it all apart again and getting it dirty and working on it with the motor, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, we're trying to diagnose why this car is leaking, because I can't worry about fitment right now when my car is just leaking fuel. So we got to figure that out. Right, so going into the trunk, as you can see, I've already taken these bolts off. I actually already checked this. I have some footage of it, I'll overlay. But when looking at that, it's actually completely dry. So what that tells me is it's not the actual lines to the fuel pump, it is the lines in the middle of the car. So that's why the car is jacked up right here. If it was that easy, it would be awesome. It'd be a super easy fix. But unfortunately, we're gonna have to go under the car, find these leaky lines and try to fix them. I'm hoping that the actual hard lines don't have any damage. That would be worst case scenario, because if you don't know, if that happens, you basically have to replace all your hard lines leading all the way up or wherever they connect in the middle of the car. So that's what we're gonna be trying to do today. These vlogs are gonna be kind of just random stuff that I'm doing to my cars. So I'm just gonna film random stuff that I'm doing, and hopefully you guys like it, and it gives you guys kind of a look into what I'm doing and what I spend my free time doing. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, so going under the car real quick, I wanted to show you guys this real fast before we start, but check this out. It's a little headlamp I use. It makes it really easy to see stuff under the car, because I can't always fit a big light like this or bring a flashlight with me when I'm under my car. So yeah, shout out to my dad. He got me that as a birthday present. So I was pretty hyped about that. But anyways, this is what we're dealing with. These are the only lines that I can think of that could be leaking. Good part about this car though, as you can see by this diff and by everything else, it is actually pretty clean. There's not a lot of rust or corrosion. Obviously, like, there's some minor stuff, but yeah, it's a pretty good example of a 240. So I'm not really worried about those hard lines being messed up or rusted out. I'm more worried about those fittings. I think that's the culprit of our leak. So now what I need to do is pressurize the lines. So I'm gonna have to turn the ignition on, and then we'll see exactly where it's leaking from. So just hopping in here real quick. Turn this guy on. You can hear the fuel pump going. Okay, that should give us enough pressure to find our leak. Is it leaking? I don't see it leaking. It was only leaking when the car was on. Oh, there it goes, it's leaking. Okay, I can figure it out now. I'm gonna go under it and find it. I think I figured out exactly what the problem is. So at first I suspected that the fitting was the issue. There's two different fittings on there. One was factory, which wasn't leaking, and the other one was aftermarket that was leaking. So I thought that was the main issue. But then I noticed that it wasn't actually leaking from where the fitting was. It was leaking more towards about 2 inches back on the line. So after a little bit more investigating, as you can see in some of this footage, I was touching it with my hand, and as soon as I would touch it, the line would shift a little bit and it would start leaking oil from really small, like, hairline cracks in the actual line. So the whole line needs to get replaced. So that's what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to pull the line off. I don't know if it's a return or a send line, so it might leak a ton of fuel. I have no idea. I'm hoping that it doesn't, but I've definitely, I haven't turned the car back on or anything like that, so it doesn't have any pressure, but it's definitely gonna leak. I just don't know how much. So that's what I figured out so far. We should be able to access the other side of the line behind this little plate and then be able to pull it off. Right now, I'm trying to get the bottom line off, but I might actually start with removing the top line. That way there isn't any fuel that is going down to it. At least that's my thinking behind it. So yeah, so I gotta figure out which line connects to up here, and then we'll pull it off, and then we'll go back under the car and then pull it off of there. And then I gotta go and find a new line and then get that source. So I don't know if I just order that from Nissan or if I can just find the proper size line, but we'll figure that out once we get everything out of the car. So now I'm gonna try to do that, and then I'll update you guys in a little bit. I got the bottom line off. Here she is. Easy. Such a small little thing to cause so many little problems. Honestly, it wasn't that bad. If I had to do this again, obviously I'm not done yet. I still have to go and find another hose and then cut it to the proper size, but that's gonna be really easy for me. But if I had to do this again, I wouldn't be scared to do it. It's pretty easy. I was pretty worried at first. When I saw a ton of fuel leaking out of it, I was like, oh no, like, what am I gonna do? But now after actually doing it and accomplishing it and getting it out, it's pretty easy. Might actually replace the other line while I'm at it. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. Maybe if I can find like a package deal for both lines, I'll get both. But yeah, so now I gotta go and source that. I'll let you guys know how I found the fuel line once I find it and once I get it here, and then we'll install it. All right guys, so I got the new line. This is the old line. You can see the spider cracking on it. Here's our new line. As you can see, it's much longer, but the reason for that is just I'm going to have some extra line in case the other one pops, and if the other one does pop, then boom, I can fix it really fast and easy. I'm not gonna take that one off today because it is winter still. The heater for the house is in the garage, so having gas everywhere is not a good idea. So I'm just replacing what's necessary, and then I'll get to the other one at a later date if it starts leaking. But yeah, definitely better fuel line, definitely higher grade, even a little bit thicker in diameter, but the actual hole size is the same, so should be good there. But yeah, so now I'm gonna cut it to the length. I'm just gonna simply measure it, mark it, and cut it. And then we will fit it onto the hard lines and get this leak fixed. Right. So I got it cut. It's the exact length we need. I've got that other piece, like I said, just in case we end up needing to replace another line. But yeah, so now we're just gonna take this. We're going to just reinstall it on there. I'm gonna start with the top and then go to the bottom. I feel like that's gonna work a lot better than trying to start from the bottom and work my way up. So we're just gonna feed this through. And there is still some fuel on it, so I think that'll give us enough lubrication to actually get the line on. But I'm definitely gonna need 2 hands for this, so I will try to sit you guys down in a place where you can see me, and then I'll get this thing on. So I got this really cool tool. I'm actually gonna take the fuel line off again because of how I want to put this fitting on. This tool, I don't know what it's called necessarily, but it was in my garage, and it's really good for popping off fuel lines that are giving you a headache, especially like I see a lot of S chassis dudes, they like to cut the fuel tank hole because they can't fit their hands in here, but all you need is this tool. You don't have to cut the body of your car, you know? That just doesn't seem like a good solution to me, but you know, I could be wrong. That could be the way to do it, but I just don't feel like cutting the pieces around my fuel tank is a good idea. So, pretty happy with that. I'm gonna tighten this side down, and then we're gonna move to underneath the car. I'm not gonna show you guys that on camera because it's basically the same thing, and it's gonna be really hard to film and put my hands all over the line. So yeah, I'm gonna tighten that down, go under the car, and then we'll prime the fuel pump, see if it's leaking. If it's not leaking, we're good, we're done. And then we can move on to something else like Underglow or something else that's fun, or adjusting camber, I don't know. We'll decide once I'm done with that. So got everything buttoned up below and above. So now we're gonna prime it again. Ignore all these exposed wires and everything. The reason why it's like this is because I actually have a quick release that I got from Austin from Never Content. It's a work bell hub, but I just haven't had time to install it yet, and I'm still waiting on my actual steering wheel. I got an RD steering wheel that's coming, and so until that gets here, no install video yet. Okay. It's priming. We are dry up there. And are we leaking anything below? We aren't leaking anything below either, from what I can see. I'm going to check really quick and slide underneath just to make sure. But I think we're good. We're solid. We're super solid. Cool. Yeah, I think we're good. Awesome. All right, well, time to open up the garage and turn it on just to make sure everything's fine. No leaks, all good. I also have a small exhaust leak because of the way that this is set up right now. Unfortunately, the people who had it before me cut the cat out, and so there's no actual like test pipe to bolt my Apexi exhaust to. So the way that I did it was a little bit weird, and it's temporary. It's only gonna be here until the SR downpipe is built. But yeah, so cool. Well, that's done. We fixed it. Everything's running fine. There's no leaks. Obviously, I'm gonna have to drive it, make sure everything's okay. But from what I can see, not leaking any fuel, and everything looks okay. Awesome. All right, guys, so we got the fuel lines done. I actually, off camera, just finished installing the rest of the Underglow. And so I will show you guys that right now. So we're gonna turn off these lights and we will go over to the side of the car. Right now I just have it, I haven't routed it through my dash yet. But here you go. Look at that. So everything else was routed for the front, but the rear had not been routed yet. I think it looks pretty good. The only thing I was scared about was it possibly touching the exhaust, but how I have it mounted, it's pretty solid and I think it'll be fine. Yeah, I'm super stoked with it though. I'm excited to see it on the ground. I did also fix the exhaust leak, but I had to use some silicone, so I have to let that cure. So I can't put the car on the ground right now, but tomorrow, hopefully, I can get it back on the ground. We can turn it on, hear the exhaust without the leak now. Hopefully the Apexi exhaust will sound a little bit better. It's still the factory KA, so I don't expect it to sound good. But once I get the SR in, I think they'll sound really nice. But yeah, so that is it for today's vlog. I'm going to probably end it here. I might end it with some shots of the car actually on the ground, a little bit of cinematic stuff, but I know there wasn't a lot that we did today. It was just fuel line and diagnosing some problems with it. We will get to the camber and lowering the car more eventually, probably in the next vlog, but thank you guys for watching and enjoy this little cinematic clip.